Hi, I'm Kadi Kraman. I'm a developer at Expo, and this is an intermediate course in React Native. In this course, we'll go beyond the fundamentals and build a real-world app with React Native. We'll look at advanced navigation patterns with Expo Router. We'll explore more interesting UI patterns to build a plant watering app, use development builds to add advanced features like quick actions, learn about build signing, and the steps you need to take to actually deliver your app to the App and Play Stores. After this course, you can build a production-ready app with React Native. So how do we render a full-screen modal over the top? So we want to open it with an icon button from the home page. So you might think that you would want to render it inside your tabs. But if we render it inside our tabs, it won't be able to render over the top of these bottom tabs, even if you render it modally. So whenever you want to render a modal over the top of content, then this modal needs to be defined at the same level or above the content that you want it to overlay. So in our case, we want it to be at the very top or root level. So in our app folder, let's create a new file called new.tsx. And let's just copy this placeholder. So it's just going to be a view with some center-aligned text. And let's add this screen into our layout file as well. So again, the screen already exists, even though I haven't added anything. But I want to use the options to set the presentation mode to modal. So let's do new, and we want to do presentation modal. And let's give it a title of new plant. Next, let's add a little vector icon button at the home header on the right, like a little plus for adding a new button. So we can choose a vector icon from here. So I think I used a plus from Ant Design. So we'll copy this. So it's not going to be in this root layout file. I almost did the wrong thing. So we want to add this. So we've hidden this header, if you see. So we've got header shown false. So we want this header button to be in the layout file of our tabs. So if we go into this layout file and we have our index file, so it will be a header button on this index file. So import it. And in index, we'll do a header right. And this will be a function. And let's start by rendering this icon. Lovely, so this is rendering to the right of the screen. And we want this to be a pressable, so let's wrap this in a pressable. So this will be imported from React Native. And let's use the link component from Expo Router. And the href is going to be new. Okay, so now if I click this, it's not going to work, and that's because we have a component as a child of our Expo Router link. So whenever you render text here, so if I just said new as a text, then this will work. But because I'm rendering a component, I need to use the as child prop. So when I do as child, then this does open. So for this pressable, let's add some margin. So let's do a quick style. Let's keep it an inline style. Let's just do a margin right of margin right of 18. So it's not squashed against the edge. And instead of black, let's use our beautiful green color. So we'll do theme and color green. And now the last thing, and actually the reason that I've added this pressable here, is that notice that when I click on the icon or tap on the icon, I need to click exactly on the icon. So even if I'm being a bit butterfingered and I'm like clicking next to the icon, it's not actually opening. And this is not great UX. So if you're doing icon buttons, you need to make sure that your pressable area is big enough for users to comfortably catch it. So on pressable or any tappable components, you can use the hit slop, and this basically adds additional pressable area around your pressable component that also triggers the onPress. So we'll do hit slop 20. And now notice that I can click next to the button, don't have to be right on it, to also trigger this modal. Alright, so now we have our image, so we can pick an image from the file system and choose it, and it will get displayed here. We also want to save it along with the plant data. So in order to do that, remember that this plant is in our cache, so it's in our device cache. So we can't just store the URI to where it's located because it might not be located there in the future. So what we want to do is we want to make a copy of that file into our device storage so we know it will be there until our app is deleted. So for this, we're going to use a library called Expo File System. So this allows you to basically, it's a utility that lets you easily download files, but also move files and read files from your device file system. So let's npx expo install expo file system and start the bundler again. So the image URI, actually, let me just console log here what the image URI is going to be. Okay, so if I do this, and then let's do a test. Oh, good thing I've got form validation. Alright, so this is what the URI looks like. So it is a file, there's a bigger path for me because I'm on a simulator, and it is a JPEG. But this file could be a PNG or all sorts of other file formats. And I don't want to handle what file format it is. So what I'm doing here is I am just picking the last bit of the file path, which will be the file name, including probably the extension. And I'm going to use this in my copied file path. And then I don't care what the file type is. This is basically what I'm doing here. So we'll do const saved image URI. So this will be the location where we're going to save this file to. And we're going to, for this we need to import star as file system from Expo file system. And we'll do file system document directory. Right, and then what we're going to add here, I wanted to add a timestamp just to make sure that this is unique. So let's do a new date get time. And then dash, and this is where I'm going to do our magic of getting the last bit of the image URI. So I'll do image URI, and we'll do a split. We'll split it by the slash, and slice -1 and take the only item there. So now, remember this image URI is optional. So we'll do if there was an image URI, then we're going to copy it to the saved image URI location. So we'll do await file system, copy async, and we will copy it from the image URI and to the saved image URI. Now this is unhappy because it's not an async function, so let's make it async. There we go. And finally, we want to save this image URI as part of our plant data. So, so in plants, we're adding a new plant. We'll do image URI. If there was an image URI, so this is an optional field, then this will be the saved image URI. Otherwise, let's default to undefined. And in our plant card, now when we hover over it, this is an optional string, and we can pass it into our plantly image. So image URI is plant image URI. So this is optional, so it will still default to our little placeholder image. So now when I add a new plant, I'm running out of plant names. Sophie, the spider plant. And, well, actually this is a yellow leaf. This is definitely not a spider plant. But let's save this. There we go. Let's do something that very much wouldn't be possible without development builds. We're going to add a quick action to our app. So a quick action is basically a little dev menu that opens when you press and hold your app icon. We scroll down to the quick actions demo here, you'll see what it looks like. So we're going to add a little option here where you can add a plant directly from your home screen. So when you open this, it will open the new plant module directly and you can start filling it out. So let's go to our root layout file, so app layout. And here we want to add a use effect. And we only want to run this once when the app first loads. And let's import star as quick actions from Expo quick actions. And we'll do quick actions set items, and this will take an array of the items you want to add. So you can have multiples. I think there's recommendations to not add more than 3 or 4, so don't go crazy, but 1 or 2 is definitely fine. So this will actually be an array of items. So we will add title, add a plant, and the icon. So this is why we did our whole adding of the Android icon. So we will do if platform.os. If we are on iOS, then we're going to use symbol. So this is just special syntax. Oh, it's got autocomplete. That's amazing. I was not expecting this. So symbol leaf. Oh wow, it actually works as well. This is amazing. Okay, so this is one of the SF symbols for iOS. And on Android, we are using leaf. And this leaf comes from in our config plugin, which is here. So this is what we named our special icon that we passed in with the config plugin. So that's why we're using leaf. Let's give it just an ID. There we go. So it does mean that the user needs to open the app for the quick action to be configured, and that is to be expected. That is totally fine. Okay, so now I've set up my quick action. So if I press and hold, I'm actually seeing this add a plant option, which is awesome. And then I open this and it opens my app and not my add plant modal, which is annoying. So how can I get it to open the new modal? When we set the params, set the items for the quick action, we can also give it additional params. So let's add a params, which is an object, and let's give it an href to where we want to go. In our case, let's go to the new tab, or new modal. And if you're not using Expo Router, you can use hooks to manually hook into the event of coming to the app from the quick action. But actually, because we're using Expo Router, we have a handy utility function that handles this automatically. So we can use quick Okay, I guess I have to import it manually. So we want to import use quick action routing from Expo quick actions /router. And this is just a convenience function specifically for Expo Router. And we call this, it's a hook, so we call this in our root layout file. And if you passed in params with an href, so the naming is important here, then it will automatically link to that page. So let's make sure that we reload it so that the effect has rerun. Now hopefully, if I do add a plant, it opens the modal. Let's try this on, oops, double click that instead. So let's try this on Android as well. Add a plant. And it opens the modal. That's really exciting. So we've now deep linked into our application from a quick action. I really love building this because it's something that it feels so native. It's kind of amazing that we built this with JavaScript.